Types of parenchyma tissues or the structure of the tissues are illustrated here. Parenchyma tissue, it contains nucleus, cytoplasm and vacuole. Vacuole is here. Vacuoles are scattered throughout the cytoplasm. So this is the cytoplasm, and inside of the cytoplasm there is a presence of large nucleus, and vacuoles are scattered. Intercellular spaces are present here. And this is the storage parenchyma. In the storage parenchyma, the cytoplasm which contains starch grains where the starch are stored, and this is known as storage parenchyma. And this example is stem and root tubers. And the next one is the parenchyma. In the parenchyma, this parenchyma, like the tissues are present in the water plants, which is involved in the flooding of plants, and it contains the intercellular space. In this space, the air is filled. So the air filled space involved the flooding function. So this is known as parenchyma. And next one is the palisade parenchyma, that is a chlorenchyma, which contains chloroplast in it. So this parenchyma tissues is present in the green parts of the plant, which carry out the photosynthetic function. The chloroplast is given. So the chloroplast containing parenchyma is known as chlorenchyma.
Permanent tissue. The cells which are formed by the apical meristem are differentiated into the different types of permanent tissues. In these tissues have lost the power of dividing either permanently or temporarily. In this classification of the permanent tissue, based on the constitution cells, the permanent tissue is classified into two types. One is the simple tissue, another one is the complex tissue. Following the simple tissue, a tissue with the cells of similar structure and function is called a simple tissue. It is of three types. One is the parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. One of these cells is parenchyma cells. It is generally present in all organs of plants. It constitutes the ground tissue in a plant. The parenchyma is a precursor of all the other tissues. In this, parenchyma is a living tissue and made up of thin-walled cells. The cell wall is made up of a cellulose. The parenchyma cells may be a oval, spherical, rectangular, cylindrical or cellate. These cells are usually polyhedral with 10 to 12 facets, and in this parenchyma is of different types, and some of them are discussed as follows. That is, in water plants, the parenchyma found in the cortex region possesses the well-developed large intercellular spaces, that is called the air spaces. Then, in this air-filled the parenchyma tissue is called the aerenchyma. It helps the plant to float in water. The examples of the parenchyma cells plant is the nymphea and the hydrilla. The parenchyma cells that are stored with the starch grain, that is called storage parenchyma. Example is the stem and root tubers. In the petioles of banana and canna, star-shaped parenchyma cells are found. The cells are called the stellate parenchyma. Green parts of the plants, the parenchymatous cells have the chloroplast. Those cells are called the chlorenchyma. Its important function is photosynthesis. So this is the chlorenchyma thin-walled cell, and this is the round-shaped cells, intercellular spaces, and oval-shaped cells. This is chloroplast. This is the parenchyma cells.
Collenchyma. This is the next to the parenchyma, collenchyma tissue. This is also a simple tissue. Collenchyma generally occurs in the dicot stem in two or more layers below the epidermis. These layers constitute the hypodermis. It is absent in the roots of land plants. It also occurs in petioles and pedicel. It gives strength to young organs. Collenchyma is a living tissue. It consists of more or less elongated cells, which are polygonal in cross section. The cell wall is unevenly thickened. So collenchyma is also a living cell, and it is generally occur in the dicot stems in two or more layers below the epidermis. In the dicot stem, it occurs in the two or more layers below the epidermis. Next to the epidermis it is present, and this layer constitute the hypodermis. So hypodermis is constituted by the collenchyma. It is absent in the roots of land plants. So in the roots of the land plants, the collenchyma cells are absent. It is present only in the stems of dicot plants, and which is present next to the epidermis. The thickening is confined to the corners of the cells. Besides cellulose, the cell wall contains high amounts of hemicellulose and pectin. Collenchyma may contain chloroplast and carry out photosynthesis. And collenchyma is divided into three types: lamellar, angular and lacunate collenchyma. So the collenchyma is also divided into three. They are lamellar, angular and lacunate collenchyma. So this collenchyma cells may contain chloroplast and which carry out the photosynthetic function also. If we say that is instead of cellulose in the parenchyma, the collenchyma contains semicellulose and pectin with the cellulose in its cell wall, and it is divided into three types as earlier said, that is lamellar, angular and lacunate collenchyma. In the hypodermis of Helianthus, only the tangential walls of collenchyma are thickened and the radial walls are devoid of thickening. This type of collenchyma is called lamellar collenchyma. In the hypodermis of Datura and Nicotiana, the cell walls of collenchyma are thickened at the angles. This type is called angular collenchyma. In the hypodermis of epomia, the cell wall thickening materials are deposited on the walls bordering the intercellular spaces. This type is called lacunate collenchyma. So depending upon the thickness of cell wall, that is thickening material of the cell wall, the collenchyma cells are divided into three types. One is the lamellar. So lamellar collenchyma is nothing but in that collenchyma only the tangential walls of collenchyma are thickened and the radial walls are devoid of thickening. So this type of collenchyma is known as lamellar collenchyma. And in the angular collenchyma, the cell walls of collenchyma are thickened at the angle. So the cell walls of collenchyma thickened at the angle, so it is known as the angular collenchyma. And in the lacunate collenchyma, the thickening material, cell wall thickening materials are deposited on the walls bordering the intercellular spaces. So this is known as the lacunate collenchyma. Types of collenchyma, there is the structure of the types of collenchyma are illustrated here. First one is the angular collenchyma. So this angular collenchyma, the cell wall, the angles of cell wall are thickening. So these are the angles of cell wall. So angles of cell wall are thickening. The thickening materials are deposited at the angle, and vacuole, this is the cell wall and this is the nucleus. So this is the collenchyma, angular collenchyma, because the angles of the cell wall are thickened. And next one is the lamellar collenchyma. In the lamellar collenchyma, the thickening, that is lamellar thickening is here. So the cell wall is thick, and that is due to the lamellar thickening, this is known as the lamellar collenchyma. And next one is the lacunate collenchyma. So lacunate,